Hello, welcome to GMT's A World at War. We're actually in episode 4 already, yet not a lot of progress has been made, sadly, due mostly to me not knowing the rules and trying to learn as I film and play. Definitely not recommended, not the efficient way to do things, but for me, it's the fun way to do things, so I don't care. One of the things I finally learned last time, very near the end of the last episode, was what the hell SBP stands for, and it means Ship Building Points. Never would have guessed that, to be honest. But that's me not being a naval-focused kind of guy. Another thing I found out, or figured out, and there was a really good comment pointing this out, is that the numbers in our record sheet charts, those are the force pools. So in our case for Germany, what we have for a force pool is much less than what we could potentially build with all of our BRPs. So like there's some restriction on it essentially. And in this case, here, we are restricted to building just what's on this fall 1939 line right now. And so what I decided to end up building, and we're also restricted to only building 50 BRPs. So what I decided to end up prioritizing is I built a light tank, probably for use in Africa, because if we team that up with the Italian light tank, it might do good. And then I built a couple of regular Panzer divisions, 24th and the 19th Panzer. So those are both 4-6 divisions. And then I built a greedy 10 Army air factors, which is actually the maximum amount I could have built, and that's worth 30 BRPs, so those are very expensive. But the way I see it is get the expense out of the way at the beginning. I don't think we're going to get significantly attacked, so we don't necessarily need a ton of infantry reinforcements. But in the meantime, what we can do is kind of strategically redeploy back to the Western Front during the redeployment phase. So that's what our basic plan is going to be. And that's just really to protect against France and Britain trying something fancy. We just need to guard our ports, guard the front line, and we should be fine. As long as we can make it another turn after this, then we can start building more of our infantry. Infantry is a lot cheaper to build, so you'll get it out there a lot faster. I'm kind of targeting a spring 1940 attack on the Low Countries, and then maybe summer 1940 attack on France itself. So I'm going to massively prioritize just trying to get that stuff done quickly. And to that end, I think that the air factors are going to be really useful because you can use them more flexibly. You know, if you find a battle where you're going to need it, that's where you're going to want to use it. So that's the plan with that. For the Italians, they are much more restricted, so I haven't picked out what I want to build yet. They can only build 20 BRPs worth. So, and they're very short of infantry, kind of all around. I kind of want to protect Italy itself from some sort of fancy naval invasion, just in case. So I think I'm going to focus on just pumping out some infantry. I could build three 1-3s, so that's I might as well do all of those, just because that'll help guard our ports. Gotta remember where I put the Italians. So we'll do 3 1-3s. The 14th, 15th, and maybe Somalians. And we'll put the Somalians maybe in Sicily. Actually, I'll do the same thing I was doing with the Germans. I won't deploy them until the next turn. I assume that's how you're supposed to do it. Not deploy them instantly. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Okay, so that leaves 17 left. So, how many more tanks could they build potentially? None. But we could build another 2-3 and a 3-3, so we might as well pump those out. 2-3 and a 3-3. Okay, so that's another 5. So we're up to 8 now. Let's see, what else can we build? Not seeing that I can build any more army air factors, which is a little concerning. Very sad. I still have to deploy their navy too. All right, well, looks like that's all we can build really. Just 8 BRPs worth. So I don't know why the construction limit is 20. Unless perhaps fortifications and stuff are not counted in that. Not sure. Not entirely sure. Okay. I'm going to read up a little bit here on naval air construction and naval construction in general. So, in terms of naval construction, each major power may use its shipbuilding points to construct naval units, as set out in 27 1.1, which is the very next one. So we can build in any fully supplied port. Okay. Each naval factor requires 1 shipbuilding point and 3 BRPs to construct. Interesting. Okay, so for repairing stuff, it's cheaper and faster, but for constructing, we want to build. So we probably want to use up our shipbuilding points on both Germany and Italy because that stuff is slow to get out. So the question is, do you also have does this count against your construction costs? That's what I'm a little bit unsure about. Because like it would take 12 turns to build a 4 or a 5 factor, but that's more shipbuilding points than we even have. Because we only have 2, I think, for Germany and Italia. Yeah, they each have 2. So maybe it's worth it to build a couple destroyers just to be on the safe side. I'd rather have them and not need them than not have them. But first let's deploy their fleet here. So they're supposed to have 4 battleships, which are all named, of course. So we have the Andrea Doria, the Caio Duilio, the Conte di Cavour, and the Giulio Cesare. So I got the Giulio Cesare here. This is what a 3-factor battleship looks like. Can focus. There you go. So we got a 3-factor battleship here. And I'm looking for my ports. I assume Genoa would be a port. And Trieste. Okay. Yeah, so let's just, for now, dump them into Genoa. We also have 12 heavy cruisers. So there's 6 right there. How many destroyers do we have? 9 destroyers. Meanwhile, I am looking for the battleships. Oh, here's another one. This is the Caio Duilio. Another 3-factor battleship. And I suppose it's probably good practice to spread those puppies out so they don't all get sunk in one port. A la Pearl Harbor. That's a 9, right? Okay, so that's 6. 9. Perfect. Oh, I think I found the last one. Conte di Cavour. Or just abbreviated to the Cavour. So I'll stick him in Trieste as well. Give him a bit of a screen. So that'll be our stronger task force, and then we'll throw the weaker task force in Genoa. Oh, I needed another cruiser group, didn't I? I need 6 more cruisers. Oh, and I need the last battleship too, because we have 3 out of the 4. There he is, I think. Okay, so what do we have? There's the Cavour, Caio Duilio, and the Cesare. So we're looking for the Doria. Found him. Cool. So maybe I'll just evenly spread out our task force composition here. Kind of want to put the sub out to sea, probably. Like, if I'm allowed to. Do want to get some reading done. Okay, now I need the cruisers for this group. I've got the destroyer escort, so they need 6 factors of cruiser escort. And there we go. 6 cruiser factors. Perfect. The 1 submarine, and they could build 1 additional submarine. But I don't know if that counts against our... Well, for them it doesn't actually matter. We might as well build it. And for the Germans, I don't think we can really build much of a fleet, because we have to build up our ground forces so much. Kind of a non-optional thing if we want to conquer the world. So that's what we're going to be doing. Gotta find my little submarine here. I wonder how much a sub costs to build. Why am I missing this submarine? Am I blind? Oh, I'm also supposed to deploy the replacements. So I guess I can have them guard the ports and stuff. And I'll stack them with the regular infantry as well. Got a lot of land to cover, and not a lot of guys to do it with, unfortunately. Italians are in a tough spot. But if we can smash Africa really quick, that definitely puts us in a better position for the rest of the war. Probably don't want to join the war until after France has fallen, though, because that would have major implications for us, for the Italians, if they joined too early. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. We're still just kind of going back, fixing what we've messed up so far, and, you know, trying to get things right. Now, for the Brits, they have obviously got a lot more in the way of forces. What's going on here? So they're supposed to have 8 Army air factors. They've got 4 here. They've got 4 here, okay. So they've got everything they need. This must have just been an extra one. And same with this. Or maybe I knocked it out of the bin or something, who knows. Okay, so for them, we want to make sure that they get all of their battleships and carriers and everything. So obviously the famous carriers, the Courageous, the Ark Royal, the Furious, and the Glorious, all need to be deployed. So I've got the Courageous. Jellicoe. For those World War I fans out there, Jellicoe is a big name. I think Royal Oak is a starting ship, right? Is it? Or is that technically in the... Yes, it is. Trying to put their fleet together here. The Warspite was definitely in the war at the beginning. So put that there. Let me make sure it's in the list though. It is, okay. Warspite's on the list. Ramillies is on the list. Remillier, I don't know how to pronounce it. Valiant. A lot of older battleships here. Obviously, we got to find the battle cruisers as well at some point here. Revenge. We got a lot of battleships. Sovereign. Royal Sovereign, sorry. To you Brits out there. So we're missing the Malaya, the Barham, the Queen Elizabeth, the Resolution, and that's it. Gotta go digging for those ones still. Because the other ones I have here are Rodney and Nelson, which are both in the Pacific at the beginning of the war. I'm wondering how this is going to work with the Brits, because they did have their fleet kind of spread out amongst the world. And obviously they have a big naval commitment in the Pacific as well. It's not... I mean, maybe that's all going to be hand-waved in some way, but... I mean, those guys don't just disappear, you know. One, anti-submarine warfare. Get him out there. Oh, there's some transports. Finally seen them. Now that I'm getting everything out of the box. I just want to make sure I didn't miss a bunch of these. Actually punching them out. I thought I got all the British units that we needed, but maybe I missed a few. Don't know. Don't think I did. I still have all these minor faction ones too that I need to punch out because the minor factions are probably going to activate soon. No, these are just Americans. Okay, so I did punch them all out, which is great. Means I probably magnetized them already. It's just a matter of which bin did I put them in. I'm an idiot. I was looking at the Commonwealth forces. Found them. All right, let's quickly throw out the rest of these. So we need the rest of the carriers first. So we got the Ark Royal. We have Furious, Courageous, Ark Royal. So we just need Glorious. There she is. There she blows. The Glorious. Hiding for so long. Alright, so this is what the fleet looks like. It's a big old fleet. And that's just pretty much the capital ships. Get out of here. We also get 32 cruisers. 32 cruisers and 13 destroyers, as well as a submarine and an ASW, which you saw there. So we've got to grab the 13 destroyers. So there's a 10 and a 3. 13 is a weird number. It's also a very small amount of destroyers. It's crazy. Let's see. So 32 cruisers. Let's see what we can find real quick. Okay, the whole fleet is assembled. So now we need to stack these puppies onto their ports. And each port can hold a total of 50 big old factors. So that means we can't put them all into one place, unfortunately. That would be the easy solution. I'm just dumping these here for now, I think. Just because these were kind of organized into little stacks of ships. You can see that the more times you play this game, the more you'll know what you need and what you don't need at the beginning. So when I'm finally fully set up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture and probably post it separately as like a YouTube post of the entire board to show you, you know, if you were going to play the game, how I had set it up, and versus maybe how you're supposed to set it up. So, I mean, obviously deployments are somewhat choice based on where you exactly deploy, but at least getting an idea of how many units you should be deploying is a pretty good thing to have. I wish I had like just a picture of what the board looked like post deployment. A lot of games actually provide that, where you can see what it's supposed to look like set up, which I think is a nice feature personally. But in our case, we didn't get that. So where are our ports? Obviously, we've got one in Glasgow. What else do we have for ports? It's the Pacific Theater one. Oh, Canada. Canada is our other port. Interesting. And there you see it. There's the port symbol. Well, honestly, screw it. I'm just gonna dump them all into Glasgow. Just, it makes my life a little easier knowing where they all are. We're probably not going to use them all this turn anyways. I'm just going to put them all over there. Not necessarily into the hex, but just nearby, just so they're all somewhat organized. Oh, I already have a sub. Don't need another one. We'll put the ASW in there. So you can see most of the tiles that you get for the Brits are just their fleet, which is absolutely monstrous. So it's kind of cool to see it when it's all stacked up like that. So we're getting closer to the end of our deployments. The reason I didn't do this at the beginning was because it's brutally boring to watch, and I did want to film a little bit of it because I think it's one of the more challenging parts of starting a board game is learning how to set the bad boy up. So seeing somebody else struggle through it and kind of the pitfalls that you might encounter, I'm hoping that's going to help people. Not necessarily just in this game either. It's like common pitfalls in all board games is making sure that you're set up properly. So, just trying to be cognizant of what a board should look like in a game like this when you're set up. And so we're obviously not fully there yet. We're missing the French and Russian fleets still. I did the fleets last because frankly they have the least importance early on to me. I'm going to be focused mainly on the land war, but France is going to need a bit of a fleet, and Russia also has 3 battleships, a few ships, not much. What about France? France has the Dunkirk, I know. It also has Strasbourg, Bretagne, Lorraine, and Provence. And then some cruisers and some destroyers. So it does have a bit of a fleet as well. I would kind of love to duke it out with the Italian fleet just to see what happens. Something I kind of wish had happened in the war, but I don't know if that's going to be able to happen. Don't know if we'll end up doing a Mers al Kabir kind of thing either with the British fleet against the French fleet. That could be kind of fun to try out too. Just like battleship on battleship fight. But for now, I think that's going to be that for tonight. Like I said, we've kind of made a strategy for deploying our units for the Axis. So they're pretty much built up. I'm probably going to build ships to use the last construction points because I can build 2 ships. So I'm gonna write down that, and I'll just show it at the start of the next video. But I'm planning to build both of our shipbuilding points. Just use them both, and that'll head towards that cap. Just because I couldn't really build anything else that was better, so might as well build some ships. And then we're getting pretty close to the end of the turn for the Germans and Italians at that point. And I have no problem going back and fixing stuff that we missed. But I'm not going to do it on the German turn for the only reason of I want them to start with a little bit of a disadvantage, a little bit of disorganization. And I want to, as we learn the rules, for them to get better. So we're basically on number 8 right here, more or less. Now, we didn't really do our raiders. So we do have to kind of go back on that and do that, the strategic warfare. It says to do it as part of the combat phase, but I don't really see a problem in doing it now before everything's kind of finished. So I think it's probably fine. Okay, and then all we have left for them is the tactical, strategic, and naval redeployments. And we have the uncontrolled hexes thing happen. And we've got to uninvert our air and naval units as part of that. So that's the plan. We're almost done with the turn, with the Axis turn. And then we'll be on to the Allies. So that'll be the next video, is finishing up the turn and then switching over to the Allied point of view. And the Allies are going to have quite the fight on their hands. Hopefully their navies can make up for what they lack in their armies, because I don't know, this French army here is strong, no doubt, but as we saw with Poland, it might not make enough of a difference. So they're going to need to either build up quickly, which I don't think they can do, or rely on the Brits' fleet to make something happen. So until next time, see ya.